One of my core art practices is to journal about aspects of nature. When sketching in my art book, I draw upon different techniques, and today in this video I'm going to share one technique that's been used since the 14th century. This technique is called Grisaille. Grisaille is often described as an underpainting technique. The technique begins by drawing or painting a subject in neutral tones, such as white, black and grey. Later, a full range of colours can be added. I particularly like this technique because it enables me to capture subjects pretty quickly. Grisaille is also a terrific technique if you're learning to paint in watercolour. Watercolour requires both practice and patience. When learning to render subjects realistically in watercolour, there are a couple of big challenges. One is learning to compose tonal relationships. Tonal relationships are the contrast between light and dark areas. Another challenge is working out your colour scheme. As I have found, the Grisaille technique helps you break down these challenges. So, for example, when I draw in graphite, I am focused only on composing the tonal relationships. Then later, I can focus on working out the colour scheme of my subject. Now I'm going to demonstrate the technique. I invite you to join me. You might like to go outside and collect an aspect of nature. I suggest that you choose something simple, like a leaf or a stone. You will also need graphite pencils, in particular H, 2B and 3B, a soft eraser, a blending stump, watercolour paints, paintbrush, clean water, and of course watercolour paper. First begin by sketching the contours of your subject using a H pencil. As you can see, I'm sketching a gum nut. Gum nuts are the fruit of the eucalyptus tree. Next we will shade. I'm starting with a 2B pencil and I'm concentrating first on the darker areas of the gum nut. As graphite is soft and smudges easily, I'm being very careful where I place my hand. It can be helpful to rest your hand on a piece of paper towel, just as you can see I'm doing. As I work, I try to shade evenly. Once you've finished a light layer of shading, take a 3B or 4B pencil and add additional layers to the darkest areas. As you are adding additional layers, it can be really helpful to have your chosen subject close by. This is so that you can check the relationship between the light and dark areas as you're shading. As I'm looking at the gum nut, I am seeing more detail. I'm also discovering other areas which need light shading. So to add this additional information in, I simply swap pencils and begin shading with my 2B. Next we will smudge the graphite using a blending stump. Take your time when smudging. It's really important to do this well and thoroughly, for if you don't, loose particles will move once you add watercolour paint and the layer will become muddy. Once you've finished smudging, take a soft or kneaded eraser and clean thoroughly the drawing. Now it's time to add the watercolour layer. On a loose piece of watercolour paper or on the page, have a play with colours. Each aspect of nature is a unique combination of colours, so I suggest you take the time to carefully look at your subject again and look at the play of colours and tones. This will help you decide which colours you need to blend and apply to your drawing. For example, when I look at my gum nut, I see different colours, such as brown, red and purple. So I'm going to mix a combination which includes burnt umber and rose madder. Once you feel comfortable with your colour choices, then mix the colours on your palette, making sure that your brush and the water is clean. Then begin to paint over the graphite. This is simply a flat wash on dry paper. If paint lands or spreads in areas you don't want it to be, simply take paper towel and dab it up. While the layer is still wet, I'm just adding a little bit more paint to the darker areas. Once you've finished adding the layer, set the painting aside to dry. Don't forget to make a record of the colours you use. So there you go, Ancient Explorers. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Meanwhile, I would love to see what you create, so I invite you to connect with me. The links to my social media accounts are in the description box below. I look forward to creating with you again soon. Ciao.